Just imagine what would happen if you got the powers to disappear from one place to another, and using these powers you could empty every bank in your city. This story begins with a boy named David who was living a normal life in a small town. There was a girl in David's class named Millie, and David liked her very much. Now one day, David gifted a glass to Millie, and Millie also became very happy after seeing this gift. But the very next moment, a boy named Mark snatched the gift from Millie, and to tease both of them, he threw the gift into a frozen river. Now seeing this, David felt very bad and went to bring back that gift. Although Millie tried hard to stop him, David did not listen to her and quickly reached the lake. But as soon as David picked up the glass gift, the ice beneath it broke and it fell straight into the water. Now, due to the strong current, he came quite far into the river, and now he was not able to find a way out. But the next moment, David opened his eyes and found himself in a library. Now here, David was unable to understand how he reached this library from that river. After this, David came out of the library and quickly reached his home where his father was waiting for him. Actually, David lives alone with his father because his mother left him when he was a child. Now when David reached his home, his dad shouted at him and asked, "Where were you till now?" But David did not answer this question and quietly came to his room. Now seeing this, his dad got very angry and started forcibly entering his room. But as soon as he entered the room, David disappeared from his room and reached the library again. Now here, David understood that he has the power to disappear from one place to another. After this, he returned to his room and decided to shift to a new city with his remaining money. Now the next morning, David went to a nearby park and tried his powers again. Now in the evening, he picked up a magazine, and after looking at the photos of different cities in it, he tried to go to those cities. Now meanwhile, he saw a picture of a building where he had gone with his mother in his childhood. Now suddenly, all the things in David's room started shaking, and he immediately disappeared and reached that building. Now here, David realized that he could only go to places he had already been to. Now here, David gets an idea and decides to rob a bank using his powers. Now that evening, he reached a bank in his city, and on the pretext of using the bathroom, he saw the locker room of the bank. Now that night, he reached his home, and after the bank closed, he teleported straight to that vault. Now here, David filled all the money present in the safe in different bags and brought them one by one to his room. And in the next few minutes, he emptied the entire safe of the bank. Now when the bank got the news of this theft the next morning, they informed the police about it, and then the police started their investigation. Now here, we see an old man named Robert who is the head of this investigation. Now here, Robert asked the bank manager for the CCTV footage of the last 1 month so that he could see every person coming to the bank. Now during the investigation, the police came to know that the bank's safe was not opened even once in the last 1 month. So now the question was, how did this theft happen? Now here it is revealed that Robert already knows about people like David who have the power to disappear from one place to another, and here Robert suspected that such a person was behind this theft also. Now days passed like this, and after a few years, David's life had completely changed. Currently, David lives in an apartment in New York, where everything for his convenience is available, and pictures of different places of the world are also hung in his flat. Apart from this, there's also a room in David's flat, where he keeps currencies of different countries. Now that evening, David used his powers again and reached a bar in London. Now after coming to the bar, he saw a beautiful girl, and without any caution, he disappeared and reached that girl. Now there was also a boy named Griffin in this bar, who saw this act of David with his own eyes. Now David spent tonight with this girl, and the next morning he went surfing on an island in Fiji. After this, he reached Egypt and had his lunch sitting on a pyramid. On the other hand, we see a man in a distant forest who had similar powers as David. However, he was unable to use his powers because a wire was wrapped around his body. Then we see Robert, and now it is revealed that Robert is the one holding this man. Now here, this man asked Robert, "What do you want after all?" On this, Robert told him that I want to kill anyone in this world who has powers like you. And with that, Robert killed this man. Now after killing this man, Robert received a call regarding a theft that had occurred many years ago. On the other hand, we see David who arrived at his home in New York. But as he walked into his hall, his eyes fell on Robert. Now here Robert asked David about the robbery that happened in that bank, but instead of answering Robert's question, David started misbehaving with him. Now here Robert also decided to teach David a lesson and started giving electric shocks to David through a device. Now seeing this, David tried to disappear from here, but due to these shocks, he had become very weak. Now here Robert ran towards David and threw him down with a strong blow. After this, he shot a wire towards David and tied his legs so that David could not run away from here even if he wanted to. However, David did not give up and used his powers once again. Now this time, David reached the room in his house where he keeps his money. Now here, David immediately cut that wire and disappeared from here with a lot of money. After this, he reached his old house where his father used to live alone. Now here, David's father requested him to stay at home because he was very worried about his daughter. Now here, David told his father that you do not need to worry about me, and saying this, he disappeared from here. Now after leaving his house, David started searching for his classmate Millie, and after searching a lot, he saw Millie working in a bar. Now here, he also found Mark, who had thrown that gift many years ago. Now upon seeing Mark, David confronted him and made him disappear and left him in the bank vault. After this, he came back to Millie, and then both of them started talking to each other. Now here, David lied to Millie that he works in a bank in New York. Now during the conversation, Millie told that she wants to travel to different places in the world. Now hearing this, David offered her to go to Rome with him, and Millie also agreed to it. Now during this conversation, we see Griffin, who was present in the same bar, and he had secretly heard everything between these two. Now after a few days, David and Millie reached Rome and went to see Colosseum there. On the other hand, we see Mark, who is now arrested by the police because Mark was present in that bank locker. Now when Mark was in the police station, Robert came to meet him, and here Mark told him the whole story as to how he reached that locker. Now after this conversation, Robert came to know that David is currently present in Rome, so he immediately set out for Rome to capture David. On the other hand, we see David and Millie, who have now become very close to each other. Now that evening, David took Millie to the Colosseum and, hiding from the guards, started taking her around the closed parts of the Colosseum. Now here he met Griffin, and here Griffin told him that he also has the same powers as David, and people like him are called jumps. Now here he warns David that a group called the Pallades wants to kill jumpers like us. But before he could finish his sentence, two paladins attacked them together. Now a fierce fight broke out between these two groups, and meanwhile David tried to escape from here, but then a paladin attacks him and traps him in an electric wire. But before he could kill David, Griffin came from behind and attacked both of them. He then disappeared to his secret base, leaving David inside Colosseum. Now here David noticed that Griffin had left a trail behind him after disappearing, and this trail is called Jump's car. Now here David, without thinking anything, jumped into that Jump's car and followed Griffin to his secret hideout. Now seeing David at his secret base, Griffin became very angry and asked him to return immediately. Now here David also agreed to Griffin's words and quickly disappeared and reached Millie. After this, he came out of Colosseum with Millie and started running away from here. But then a police team surrounded him and arrested him. Now when David was imprisoned in the police station, a lady named Mary came to meet him, who was actually his mother. Now here Mary told David that you have only 1 minute to escape from Padden. Saying this, he gave the key of the handcuffs to David and asked him to run away from here. Now for now, remember David's mom, because she will bring a new twist to this story. Now free from handcuffs, David came out of the police station and immediately sent Millie to her home so that she could stay away from these troubles. On the other hand, we see Robert, who arrives at David's house to meet his father William. Now here Robert asked William for David's address, to which William told him that he had not met his son even once in the last 8 years. On the other hand, we see David, who was currently at Griffin's secret hideout. Now David saw photos of different people in Griffin's room, which were pallets from all over the world. Now after seeing these photos, David asked Griffin why these paladins are after us. On this, Griffin told him that the fight between the Pallades and the Jumpers is not from today, but has been going on for thousands of years. Actually, the Pallades are very religious people, and according to them, only God should have these powers of disappearance. Now here Griffin told that Pallades has no mercy for jumps, and he can go to any extent to kill us. Now after hearing these things, David realized that now the lives of William and Millie are also in danger. David then went to his old house and started looking for his father, who he found unconscious on the kitchen floor. Now seeing this, David immediately took his father to the hospital so that he could save his life. After this, he again went to Griffin and asked him for Robert's address, because now he wants to end this story forever by killing Robert. Now here, Griffin told him that he himself has been searching for Robert for the last 10 years, and it is not so easy to catch him. However, David knew that after harming William, Robert would now go after Millie, so both of them made a plan together. And then, as per the plan, David reached Millie's house to meet her. But before he could say anything to Millie, Robert arrived below Millie's house. Now, despite not wanting to, David told Millie about his powers, and after hearing these things, Millie got scared and started leaving from here. But then David disappeared from here with Millie and took her to Griffin's secret base. Now when Robert reached inside the house, he did not find anyone there. But then he saw a Jumps car, and as soon as he saw it, he placed a special device on that Jumps car so that he too could reach the place where those jumps were present. On the other hand, when Griffin saw Millie at his hideout, he got very angry at David because due to his mistake, Pallades had come to know about their secret hideout. Then suddenly, Robert appeared in front of them and attacked David with his weapon. Seeing this, Griffin picked up a flamethrower and aimed it at Robert. Now here Griffin and Robert clashed, and here Griffin took him to a snowy field. After this, he disappeared from here and returned with a big bus and tried to crush Robert. However, Robert survived the attack, and the two fought their way back to Griffin's base. Now here Millie came right in front of Robert. But before Robert could kill him, Griffin attacked with the flamethrower and sent Robert inside the Jumps car. After this, he himself jumped inside that Jumps car, and then both of them reached Millie's house. Now here Robert attacked Griffin, but Griffin also saw the opportunity and stole the jump car device and brought it to his hideout. But then Robert threw a wire into the jump car and pulled Millie towards himself. Now here David tried to save Millie, but then Griffin stopped him and took out a bomb from his cupboard. Here Griffin told David that today he would kill all the pilots together. But before he could take the bomb to Millie's house, David disappeared from there with the bomb. Now seeing this, Griffin also followed him, and then a fierce fight broke out between the two. Now both of them started fighting among themselves and disappearing from one place to another. Sometimes Egypt, sometimes New York, sometimes London. Now in the meantime, both of them reached a battlefield, and now the remote of that bomb was in the hands of Griffin. But meanwhile, Griffin did not notice that an electric tower was about to fall right on him. Now here, David left Griffin on that electric tower, and due to high voltage current, Griffin got stuck to that tower. Now dying, Griffin warns David not to go to Millie's house to save her, because he cannot fight the Pallades alone. However, David did not pay attention to these things, and reached Millie's house to save her. Now as soon as Pad saw David, he caught him and hung him on the roof of the house. Now here David also tried his best, and tried to disappear from here. Now by doing this, everything around him started shaking, and the next moment, he along with the entire house reached the river, where he had got his powers for the first time. Now all of Robert's companions died by drowning in this river, after which David took this house to that library. Now here he saw Robert, who was still alive. Now seeing this, David went mad with anger and took Robert to the hills of Grand Canyon. Now here he left Robert alone in these desolate mountains and disappeared himself to Millie. Now, after a few days, David's mother came to meet him and told him the whole story. Here David's mom explains that she herself is a Peladan, and that she discovered her son was also a jumper when David disappeared for the first time at the age of 5. Now, despite his reluctance, David's mother left him alone so that the other Paladins could not find David, and even now David cannot live with his mother because doing so would endanger the lives of both of them. Now, in the next scene, we see David and Millie, who disappeared together and reached a new city and started a new life together. I hope you liked today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments how you would use David's powers if you had them. See you in the next video, but till then be safe and keep chilling.